Okay, so we are coming down to the final a few sections here for our today's seminar. So hang on in there; we're almost done. What is an ethical conflict? Well, an ethical conflict is when a member encounters one or both of the following. You have an obstacle to following an appropriate course of action due to internal or external pressures, or you have conflicts in applying relevant professional standards or legal standards. Now, I think the first bullet point is actually probably where most CPAs find themselves. They have a lot of pressure internally or externally to take the easy way out. Okay, like KPMG did with some of those partners. Heck, this is great inside information. This will help us. We'll clean up our act. We'll look like we're doing the right thing, and then we'll get out of this trouble we're in of having been written up for problems with the quality of our audits. Okay, but at the end of the day, while they try to take a shortcut, it ended up obviously causing far, far, far more damage to the reputation than it otherwise would have. So those are things that CPAs need to be aware of when they deal with ethical conflicts. Now, just very quickly, we're going to take a look at Toshiba. Toshiba, the scandal in Toshiba was revealed around 2017, I believe, and sadly, this wasn't the first big accounting scandal in Japan in recent years. The other bigger one was Olympus, and so Olympus was revealed in 2015, and Toshiba sadly followed 18 months later. And the deal is with Toshiba, there was a couple of things that caused fraud to flourish in this case. One of them was the traditional Japanese business environment where you had it is very paternalistic, and you had the head of the firm that everyone swore loyalty to. So you would do whatever the leader told you to, no matter what. And in exchange, that leader would be loyal to you, okay, and then you would have lifetime employment there, okay. So if you have that sort of undying loyalty, that makes it very easy for fraud to occur, because if you do whatever the leader tells you, then who's around to stop it, to raise their hand and say no, we cannot do this. The second thing, and this is something that the Japanese version of FASB knows they're trying to address right now, is this whole concept of tobashi, and that means cleaning up your act. And it was a little bit like the American version or tradition that we had of earning, quote unquote, earnings management. Okay, so if there was a big loss in a particular year, then it was kind of a tradition that a Japanese firm would not take a loss in the year it was incurred, if it would cause undue swings in revenues and expenses. Okay, that they want to have smooth revenues and smooth expenses, because analysts don't like to see a lot of volatility. If there's a lot of volatility, they're going to go ahead and put a valuation hit on your stock. And so what Japanese firms would traditionally do under this whole concept of tobashi is wait until there was a really good year and take the loss in that good year. Okay, or otherwise find a way of hiding it, and maybe taking it at some point, but just making it less obvious. So at the end of the day, irrespective of whether they took the full loss in a different a different time period or not, the fact still remains is they recognize revenue expenses in the wrong period, and you can't do that. Okay, at that point you're just manipulating your financial statements. And so Toshiba found themselves in this particular situation. It was found that there was an air of fear amongst the underlings. They'd never felt that they could speak up against their bosses. And on top of it, the thing that makes this even worse than the Olympus scandal is, I don't know about you, but again, internal auditors are my favorite people, because they're sort of like the last to fall. They are the most skeptical people in the world, thank God, because that's their job, and they're the ones who see things in a very black and white sort of way, and they're the last people to ever compromise. And very sadly, in Toshiba, it was found that the even the internal auditors were in on the deal. Okay, and so it was a nearly $2 billion scandal when it occurred, which is big for Japan. And obviously there were a lot of people who ended up going to jail over this.